believe it or not, 9 times out of 10, people take the one-time lump sum fee because they write the check and then they know that it's all over. And I can talk about this all afternoon.
Welcome back to the Sterling Family Law Show. I am your host, Tyler Dolph, and we are continuing our owner-operator series. Today we have Mark with us from a very, very warm Mississippi. Mark, thanks so much for your time. If you wouldn't mind, introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about your firm.
Well, good afternoon. I am Mark Chinn, and I have a family law firm in Jackson, Mississippi, which is the state capital of Mississippi. We have a statewide practice. We practice from Gulfport on the coast to what we call the Delta, the farmland, all the way up to Oxford, Mississippi in the north. We take cases all over the state and consider ourselves a statewide practice.
I love it. How many attorneys? How many offices?
There are 3 attorneys at this time. One of the significant aspects of my practice in terms of number of attorneys is that in 2005, I was looking for some way to make income outside of the mathematics of the number of hours that could be worked, and also looking for a way to take out the overhead that comes with putting in more producers in order to try and make more income on that math. And I was looking for a way to do that, and I attended an American Bar Association law practice management seminar, and they talked about alternative billing methods, and they talked about something called value pricing. And value pricing, to put it in a familiar word, is just flat fees. They mentioned a book called Value Pricing by an author, a CPA in California named Ron Baker. Well, I got the book, and it's 600 pages long, which makes it about 4 times longer than any book I've ever read. I mean, I'm good for 100 pages usually. So I got the book and read every single page, and I thought, I don't know if he'll talk to me, but I'm going to call Ron. So Ron's in Napa, and I'm in Jackson, Mississippi, and I thought he wouldn't pay any attention to me. So I called Ron, and we talked for 2 or 3 hours. And I mean, he's an amazing man and a big advocate of moving away from the billable hour. And so I got into it and started studying how can I make this conversion from charging by the hour to charging so-called flat fees, or what I like to call value pricing. And it took a significant amount of time and study, but to try and decide how I would do it. And I did develop a plan for how I would do it. And then I just took a leap and, just tried it on. First decision I made was, am I going to offer it as an option? And I said, no, I'm all in. So I'm not offering a by the hour option. I'm flat fees. So I took a leap and tried it in a case, and it worked. And then I tried it in the next case, and it worked. I tried it in the third case, and it worked. And I just kept going and learning, and to learn how to charge flat fees. At the time, I was trying to build a big law firm. I had 5 attorneys and 8 support staff, and was trying to build a behemoth that would be a great law firm. And it was a great law firm, but the Katrina, the oil spill, the depression that we went through, all of that made all that overhead no longer feasible. So I came back down to a small firm around 2015 and have gradually built back up. But so that is one of the key elements in my current practice is the value pricing. I give people an option usually of what I call phased prices, where I give prices for different phases: the initial phase, the discovery phase, the trial preparation phase, the trial phase. and perhaps some prices for different things within those phases, like a separate price for a deposition or a mediation. Or I give a lump sum price, an upfront price that they pay that once and they don't have to pay anything more except for reasonable expenses such as court reporters, etc. Believe it or not, 9 times out of 10, people take the one-time lump sum fee because they write the check and then they know that it's all over. And I can talk about this all afternoon, but I got out of the Ole Miss Law School, which is the home of great litigators, in my opinion. Great class in '78 and around those years, great litigators, and so I was the benefit of that. And I worked for different people for about 10 years. And after 10 years, it occurred to me, hey, nobody's, it was Chinn, nobody's going to give you what you want. You have to take it. You have to jump into the deep end. So on July 1, 1988, I opened my own firm. And I wrote myself a page long letter on that day, which I still have. And it says, well, I'm starting my own practice today. I might go bankrupt, but I'm going to do it anyway. I got up this morning and put on my 3-piece suit, which I used to do back in those days. I put on my 3-piece suit, even though I knew I had nobody to see. And I stopped by my post office box, even though I knew there'd be no mail there. And I just got started. And so my motto then, I was not a specialist. My motto then was, send it to me. I turn trash into cash. I mean, just whatever. I mean, if I could make $500, I wanted it. And I did have a broad background. I could do almost anything except bankruptcy, really. And so I might have even done a bankruptcy case or two. But I had a broad background, so I tried a little bit of everything. And I will tell you this, one thing I want to mention is that one of the things that I did not anticipate was that people would help me. I got help from all kinds of people that I thought I barely knew. And it was one of the more gratifying experiences of my career that these people helped me. Now, they did not send me 5-star cases. They sent me cases that they didn't want. They sent me cases that have been turned down by 4 people, but they sent them to me. And one time, turned trash into cash. And one time, at the advice of a business coach, I asked people, why do you send me business? Why do you send me business? I appreciate it, but I'd like to know why. And I was hoping they would say, you're a great orator. You have a brilliant legal mind. But they didn't say any of that. They said, we know you'll take care of it. We know
That's
you'll take
huge.
care of it.
Being dependable and reliable is a often overlooked trait that leads to so much success.
And I actually was disappointed when I heard that at first, but then I thought about it. Wait a minute. It means, number one, I'm going to handle it, but number two, it's going to be with care. And that became something that really became another foundation for my practice, was service. And I can remember I read a book called The Experience Economy, and it talked about how businesses that were successful in the 80s were learning how to deliver an experience as opposed to just a product. And I became very consumed by that. And I like to tell the story that I like to get my hair cut, and I like to go to a salon instead of to a regular barber, because you usually get a lady to cut your hair, and I like that. So there was a salon that I would go to, and it was called Parisians. And I would walk in, and there'd be candles burning and nice smell. And then there'd be a beautiful young receptionist behind the counter. And she would say, well, good morning, Mr. Chinn. My goodness, you don't even look like you need a haircut. And so then I'm all swollen up, big headed. And then, then you go and you get your hair washed for 20 minutes. I mean, you don't need your hair washed to get a good haircut, but they delivered that part of the product. And I thought, I want to do everything I can in my business to make people feel the way I feel when I go to that spa. And I later developed a term, I called it Rich Carlton service. And the example I used for that is I was at an ABA meeting in Puerto Rico some 30 or 40 years ago, and the hotel was massive. And I saw a guy who was kind of an executive type in the hallway, and I said, "Where is the ABA meeting?" And he said, "Here, let me show you." And he walked me, like for 10 minutes to this place. And I thought, now that's service. He didn't just say, walk down the hall, take a right, take a left. He showed me. And I said, that's the kind of service that I want to deliver. So along the way, I hired a business coach to come in and talk to me. And believe it or not, he said, first thing you need to do is get a computer on your desk. So this is like 1989. And I said, well, I don't need a computer. My secretary has one. He said, no, you need one. So anyway, I got started with that. And then he said, you need to specialize. And I said, well, I don't want to specialize. I want to do everything. He said, no, you need to do specialize. There's 6,000 lawyers in Mississippi, Mark. How's anybody going to be able to, dig you out of 6,000 lawyers if you don't have some type of identity? So to make a long story short, we figured out that divorce was probably one of my best areas of practice. And over time, I gradually got it to where that's all I did. And I think that became very, very important, that it was clear that I only did divorce and I could be regarded as someone who had special knowledge in it. And that allowed me to really build reputation and a practice. Another giant step in my practice was case management software. I am a systems person. I'm the son of a mechanical engineer. When I was in college and law school, I worked in a steel factory, and we did things that was called piecework. And so they assigned a certain time value for each project that you might do. So the deal was to try and beat the time that they had assigned so you could make more than a normal day. And so the systems and processes were key to trying to beat that time. They were also key to not cutting your hand off. And so I'm a big systems guy. And so I got into law practice management software, and used that for forever. And I think that has been a real a separating factor in my practice in the 2000s from other lawyers who didn't have it. Now, of course, that's kind of old news, which brings me to the cataclysmic moment in my practice now after 48 years. A couple of years ago, I heard about AI. And I have a daughter who's 30, and she's a lawyer at a big firm. And I have a 36-year-old partner here. And I told their friends, and I told both of them, I said, this AI thing, both of you need to become experts. I told my daughter, Carly, you become the expert in your firm on AI. I think it's something that's going to really transform things. Well, they didn't listen to me. But along the way, we started using things like ChatGPT, and now I'm not trying to plug anything, but now it's kind of evolved into Claude. But I heard a technology speaker at an American Bar Association Family Law Section meeting and a couple of years ago, and he was talking about all these different agents that can, do publications for you, do ads for you, assemble this or assemble that. And I was in amazement. And so I called him up in the fall of 2025 and said, I have what I call an assessment process. And so instead of a consultation, and I charge a substantial flat fee for that assessment process. And as a part of the assessment, I get their facts, I give them the law in detail applicable to their case, I give them all the possible alternatives, I give them an assessment, and then I give them a recommended course of action. And then I probably will also add what I call a case plan and pricing to it. It's a very complicated product and would take me hours to do without AI. So this tech expert and I designed something called Mark's Robot. And so now I record the assessment call or conference with the client, and I plug it into this robot and give it instructions on what I want it to generate. And it will generate a beautiful assessment product laying out all the law. And of course, it's been provided with details. So if I say, what are the elements of a habitual cruelty claim, I might talk about that in the conference, but the AI will add all the detail that I ask it to add, just like that, which would take me perhaps hours. And I mean, I would know it, but I can't access it that fast. And so this amazed me. And then I decided in January, I want to go 100% AI. I want my firm to be operated 100% by AI. And I joke that I have visions, but I don't know how to do anything. So my vision was this, I'm sitting here at my computer. I have 3 screens. On one screen, I usually have all the documents and all the cases. Obviously, we're paperless. All the documents and the cases are right there. And we usually carry about 50 to 60 cases. And they're all right there. All the emails are there. We now have a phone system, which every phone call is recorded. So all that information is there. We have a document assembly program and form documents. So all that is there. And a case management system, which has reminder systems and follow-up and all that in there, something that my case management system, Amicus, calls precedence. So we have all of that right here at my fingertips. But what has to happen is I have to look at my documents, then I have to go to my document assembly software, and then I have to plug information in. And I can generate a document in 10 minutes that might have taken a couple hours on the cut and paste method. But why should I do that? And so now we have created a system which is implemented, is finally coming to fruition, believe it or not, today. We've got it all put together. I talk to one agent. It's called Notion. I talk to one agent and I tell it everything. I tell it to calendar stuff for me. I tell it to send emails for me. I tell it to make calls for me. It'll go to our call center and make the call and transcribe the call and then leave notes as to what's been decided and what happens next. Haven't gotten there yet, but I should be able to say, draft me a complaint in the Jones case, or draft me an answer in the Jones case, or draft me potential discovery in the Jones case, and it will do it instead of me having to go to all these different places and put it together. I'm very excited about it. I'm aware of all of the cautions about AI and the dangers and the hallucinations. I'm aware of all of that. And so, but for me, I think the key is not the output, but the input. What do I put in to tell it what to do? And then, of course, checking what it says. So at 73,
you're further than so many law firm owners I talk to. It's
at
unbelievable.
73, I have an excitement about law practice that I haven't felt in years because of the excitement of seeing just what kind of level of service can we provide now. I mean, now answering a question for a client, I mean, now with the assistance of AI, and I'm not talking about it inventing stuff. I mean, we've plugged my work, my four books that I've written on how to practice law that have been published by the ABA. They're all in there. And so when it does something, it's looking at stuff I've written. And as I understand it, it's intuitive and will learn. And so it will learn me. And so, I mean, it's just very exciting.
Mark, I think what's really pivotal about where you're at is making that bold move to fixed fee pricing has incentivized you to find efficiencies that an hourly firm won't or has no need to find, right? And so you're turning trash into cash still by finding those efficiencies and creating profitability for your firm by leveraging these different opportunities, these different initiatives. I'm impressed.
Thank you. I don't want to disparage lawyers who charge by the hour. I used to do it. Most people do it. But what I say is when incentive is human nature. And so when you charge by the hour, the first thing you think is, what can I do? The way I charge is the first thought that comes to my mind is, what can I achieve? And what I can't figure out for firms that bill by the hour is how, if they're using the technology now that they should be, that makes things go so fast, how are they charging for that when they can draft a complaint in 15 minutes that used to take 2 or 3 hours? How are they charging for that? How do they make profit off of being better and more efficient? I don't know. All I know is what you said is exactly right. And the incentive for me is, how can I accomplish results for the client as fast as possible, where fast is justified. Sometimes it's not. But I tell people I have the Bill's Burger House method of working, and you don't know what Bill's Burger House is, but it was this place here in Jackson run by a Greek immigrant who used to holler, "God bless America," when you walk through the door. And he himself would grill the redfish right in front of you on the grill and get it to you. So you would walk into Bill's, he grilled that redfish right in front of you, put it in front of you in 10 minutes, and you were out in 25 with a good product. So for me, I feel like law practice, people going through litigation, that's hell. And whatever I can do to get them in and out of a case as expeditiously as I can, I want to try and do. Now, obviously, some cases that's not the thing you should be doing. Obviously, no matter what you do, cases drag out. But that's my objective. Is I tell people, if I was in a divorce situation, which thank God I'm not. I've been married for 48 years and it's been a dream. But I tell people, if I was in that situation, I'd go to a lawyer and say, get me out of this. And so,
Yes.
Get me out of this.
Mark, I love it. I'm so impressed with your, for practicing as long as you have, and your ability to continue to innovate is a testimony to your success. And so I'm thankful for your time and your story. I'm excited to watch and see what happens to your firm, because the sky's the limit, and you're doing some great things. So again, I really appreciate your time, your story. If leaving with this question, if a firm is interested in adopting AI, what's your advice to them in getting started?
For me, it's finding the expert in AI. My tech guys, who are very good, they know about AI, but actually one of them was in here Friday, to start the pulling all my files, tens of thousands of documents, over into this new system, this Vapor, whatever it said. And he said, I can't wait to see what you all are doing. So it's got to be someone that understands AI. I use Chad Burton out of Phoenix, Arizona, and Chad, I'll and every day, maybe a couple times a day, I'm saying, okay, I tried to do this, and the AI system said this is what you do if you want to do that. He said, okay, I'll put an agent in place to do that. And so he's the one that's, like I said, I have the vision, and I've got somebody that understands my vision and can implement it. I think you and I should have a call in about 6 months to see
Please.
Where I am with it.
I would love that. I
would too.
Mark, you're a great man. I really appreciate your time. Wishing you all the best, and let's talk again in 6 months.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.